Hey there, let's get talking about troubleshooting inside of Softr. We don't have a lot of issues here, but what we do notice sometimes is that people have issues with their integrations, and that's really regarding Airtable and Google Sheets as data sources. So today we're going to show you how to fix those. So in Airtable, there are a few different reasons why there would be issues here. So for example, if I were to go to data sources, you'll see that I have this API key set up. Now, there is also the personal access token that exists, but what I would really recommend that you do if you're noticing that there's issues connecting to your data source is check whether, if I press edit here, whether the access key is actually correct. So what I would do is either delete the original one or press edit and then put in your personal access token or API key here to solve that issue. Be meticulous about copying it and pasting it in, making sure that you copied the entire thing, nothing extra, didn't delete anything out. And then from there, after you've saved it, it will likely solve any of the connection issues that you have with Airtable from a connection standpoint. Another data that you can get is actually if, for example, a table or base is missing inside of Airtable. In that case, it might be possible that you could have moved or deleted the actual base. So if I'm interacting with this and I can't find the vendor management by Softr portal anymore and there's a problem, it's often because it's just not connected, right? So if I click on this right here, it is going to go directly to what I have inside of Airtable. And if there's an issue regarding any form submits or adding anything new here, that just means you're not connecting to any of the right data inside of Airtable. In order to fix it when it comes to a renamed table or base, just change the name back to what it was prior. So once you end up finding it, you can rename it. Say you changed it from orders to not orders. You can then rename it and it should solve the issue. However, if you actually deleted it and deleted the base as well, you're gonna have to go and then map it back to another base. So like clicking onto another option for this, as you'll see, it'll end up mapping to something else. Then you'll have to go through the process of adding it back when it comes to the different tables within there. So if your bases or tables are deleted, that's going to be more of an issue, but it is still resolvable nonetheless. Another table you can get is that a field can no longer be found. Now that's also very common if you end up renaming or deleting the field as well, because in this content section here, if any of these were to change, I would need to make sure that the field is the right name. So if I changed it, it's not going to deliver through it anymore. But what I can do is I can refresh this Softr page and then go and map that specific field once again so that it reworks itself out. Or in the same breath, you can go into Airtable and then rename the field back to what it showcases in Softr in order to solve that problem if you have it in multiple different lists across your app. Another small thing that might be an issue is, say for example, you're trying to build out a Softr app, but you don't get access to the Airtable data that you need. Make sure to communicate with whoever that is in order for you to get access to do this kind of stuff, because essentially you need necessary permissions. So if you need to edit, add, or view anything in a Softr base like this, and you only have view access or you don't have access, well, you're not going to be able to connect to it. And if you don't have add access, then doing anything like action buttons or doing anything like update buttons will not be possible. So you'll need to ask the owner of the base to give you the necessary permissions in order for that to get resolved. Another issue that does come up is, for example, if you were to map anything within here to a read-only field, then it can't exactly go over it. Like there's created time, that's an automatic field inside of Airtable. If you try to map anything to something like that, it's gonna cause an error, and then you're just gonna have to change it to a different field to map to. Make sure that it allows inputs. Same with formulas. Last but not least, and this is very important, when looking at something like this all orders list, what we need to make sure of is that the order details and the order themselves have the exact same Airtable base connected. If they do not, then there will be problems. So if I were to change it so that this would go to like applicant tracking based by Softr, it would just not work. And if in the other sense, in the order details page, if I were to have it so that this was mapping to something that wasn't the vendor management by Softr, then there would be an error where it would not let me actually see anything, because this is clearly not the same base as the other one. Now, when it comes to Google Sheets errors, that's kind of a shorter list, but usually the issues are also regarding data sources. Make sure in any sense when you're going into the process of creating a new template or application that you allow all the different permissions, and when it copies over, we just want to make sure that it does in fact copy all the data. So something that could happen, and you'll notice this when interacting with something inside of here, is that if you click on a list, you can find that new data source right here. And very similarly, if I were to put, like in the clients page, I were to just change this to contacts and then put some random text here. And then I were to refresh, contacts can no longer be found. Why? Well, because I put contacts and then a bunch of different text after it. So if any issues are coming up where they can't find it, it's either because you deleted the column or you changed the column header. So if I refresh this, it should fix that problem. If I go here to content, you'll see that there's no error because I didn't put some random text after the field. Similarly to how you can map the different fields inside of Airtable, it's the exact same situation here. If you change anything, delete anything regarding columns, the different sheets within here, and you can't find the sheet anymore, it's because you deleted it, right? So we can't do anything about that unless we revert page history inside of Google Sheets. So if I went to File and Version History, see version history, I could go back in time and prevent myself from doing that. However, unless, none of the different entities inside of this are changed, what I'd really recommend that you do is just get the same layout and then try to backfill any of the information as you can. It's not a very easy thing to do, so make sure that you're not really messing with column names or obviously the sheets. Deleting sheets is not ideal. What I would recommend you do if you really are not sure if you want to keep something anymore is actually hiding the sheet is pretty good so that it's just more of a UI change. And then, you can always go to view and then hidden sheets and then show that one. Deleting is not ideal. Now, if you have some problems with the access token, what I'd recommend that you do is you go to data source and settings here, and then press edit. And after you've clicked on the proper Google account, just press allow again so that it reauthenticates it. Sometimes it's as simple as needing to do that in order to solve some of those issues. So these are how you could solve some of the common troubleshooting errors inside of Softr. There are so many different things that can come up when using any application. We try to keep it as limited as possible, and these will solve a lot of the different problems that you do have inside of the application itself. And this video right here will help you improve your skills using Softr even more.